Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Sacred Anarchies, a post-church podcast. I am here, as always, as usual, with my best friend and co-creator, Barry Taylor. How are you, Barry?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm enjoying a mini heat wave here in London.
Indeed, we are 70 degrees today and sunny. It's a
Yeah,
miracle.
I know, but
Holy Week, the Easter miracle.
it's supposed to snow next week. Just
I know.
FYI.
I already know this. I'm just trying to enjoy today. I don't know why you want me to angst about next week when I'm just having a good day.
Oh, yes, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
Speaking of the evil thereof,
Yes, wasn't that a lovely segue? I just
we
handed you on
have
a
a
plate.
very, how do you feel about this? Clear and present danger.
Oh, that's a devilish comment you've made right there.
Ooh, we could just do this all day. This is fabulous.
You're wickedly on the ball today,
Um,
and there's devil in the details.
Devil in the details, indeed. So we are going to make this a short little podcast today because we've had some long podcasts this month. From a very practical standpoint, we're running out of bandwidth on our podcast platform. We're at the very end of the month and we have a little bit of bandwidth left. And we also have some very cool podcasts we're going to be releasing over the next couple weeks with some really cool guests. We're really excited to show those too. And those are also a little bit on the longer side. They always are going to be when we have a third person in and a guest kind of talking about their work. And we hope you appreciate that. But we need to keep this short today. But in the spirit of Easter week and the intersections of faith and theology and culture, and also keeping it short, so just a drop in the bucket on some theological and cultural thoughts this week, we are going to be riffing off of what we started last night on Monday Musings, which is the controversial and apparently very much negatively critiqued and under attack Lil Nas X's video Montero.
Yeah. What a fuss over not very
What
much,
the fuck
really.
is the big fucking deal?
Well, it's very interesting because uh, on the one hand, it's a direct provocation. It's like hanging a piece of red meat in front of conservative-minded
Oh,
people and
absolutely.
and them absolutely taking the bait. And another thing, it's also for me, it's just one more example of how we are stuck in a nostalgic time warp in almost every area of life, where all we do is mine the recent past, even for our provocations. It's like we've gone back into a 80s and 90s satanic panic moment.
It's such a satanic.
Between
There's so much going on here with this video in culture and in society and people's response to it. It's provoking that whole rhetoric of culture wars again and us versus them and we need to win and the soul of America and the soul of the West. So this idea of the soul piece, needing to
yeah.
we need to win this over and sanctify this and sort of take this back from the clutches of whatever and whomever unto something whatever else. But also like, oh god, so much. So essentially we're dealing with a piece of art here, right? We have an artist who is making a political statement, a theological statement, a sexual statement, and it's like you're going to a museum to view a new exhibit on display, or something that's reflecting culture, something that is reflecting a very poignant and powerful statement about the state of affairs of the church versus the LGBT community, or what people think about life and death and what we might need to flip around and subvert and figure out. And somehow people continue to take these things very literally, heaven versus hell and Satan versus God and good versus evil. And if as if that weren't enough, you have someone who has admitted to being rejected by the church his whole life because of
Sure.
his sexual orientation, his struggle with his sexual orientation growing up in the church. So the church rejects him, kicks him out, says he's going to quote unquote hell. And then he actually does go to hell, conquers it. And that's still not good enough for the church.
With a pretty with a pretty with a pretty good pole dance.
God, I could not love that anymore that he descended into hell on a pole
Well, I
with,
loved it that it was from heaven down into hell. I mean,
yeah.
given that again it's Holy Week and there's that whole
Yeah,
sort of Christian
absolutely.
idea that on Holy Saturday, you know, Christ goes into hell, at least in certain theological
Yeah, yeah,
worlds. But yeah, I mean, to me, the more the thing that I think is really interesting about it, all of that is also very interesting. What's lost in all of this is
mhm,
how in our society at the moment, this whole idea of kind of exclusive, high-priced artifacts
yeah.
generates such fervor amongst people. I mean, you
Mhm.
know, they make 666 pairs of these Satan shoes
Oh my God, we didn't even get to that.
and they sell out in less
Yes.
than a minute, you know, and they're, I mean, I think it's the English equivalent is 750 pounds a
Yeah,
pair.
yeah,
So, you know, we're dealing with economics here, the commodification of stuff, our kind of lust for these exclusive special things. We're dealing with the clash of theologies, the transgress. I mean, what I think is also interesting is, you know, I think music in general, it's a transgressive art form. I mean, it goes all the way back to the myth of Orpheus. You know,
yeah,
Orpheus went into the underworld and wooed
yeah,
the gods of the underworld in an effort to try and get his wife
yeah,
back. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And
Music
I
is
think,
supposed to storytell. It's supposed to have this subversive element to it. It's supposed to show us things that we can't normally see on our own. You know, it's allegorical, it's reflective, it's subversive. It's a lot of things. And I just don't understand with everything that's going on in the world today, all the problems we have.
yeah,
We have an emancipated artist who has been liberated and freed to be himself finally and truly,
yeah,
and he decides to make that statement in this video, and he could have made it however he wants. It's the artist's prerogative, right? He could have done whatever he wanted to do and it would have been
sure,
fine. But he did choose one to sort of seduce Satan, um, and
yeah,
then kill him and be in charge because this person, and I don't know how much you want to get into the hermeneutics of like the empirical Lil Nas X versus the implied artist, you know, in the video and how much those stories overlap. But you know, this person who clearly does not want to be in heaven with people who tormented him, abused him, accused him, right? So the
sure,
role of the accuser has he totally turned upside down. You know, descends to hell, seduces Satan, and then kills him, and then subsequently takes over and reigns. And it's up to our imagination how he decides to run the underworld, how he decides to reign in that particular space. But it's a vindication. And you know, even with these sneakers or whatever, you know, you have what was it, Luke 6:18? I can't remember the exact Bible verse, but
Luke 10:18.
Luke 10:18, but it's a reference to, you know, Satan falling and being defeated. And so I just feel like most conservative Christians, evangel, they have such a visceral fight or flight reaction to these sorts of images and these sorts of cultural and religious provocations that they can't actually get to the end to even see, you know,
Well,
the turnaround
also,
and the moral of the story, which they may have actually appreciated if they just got down their high horse and took a moment to really figure out what was going on instead of having such
yeah,
an emotive response.
although, although, to be fair, I think in that video, they are the devil. And that's why it's so, I mean, that, you know,
Sure.
the devil
But
is not, you know, the devil is symbolic for the, I mean, it's interesting. It's a very sort of broad cultural reflection on how a lot of people who are disenfranchised by particular forms of religion view that religion not as a conveyance of, you know,
yeah,
light or positive energy, but essentially of darkness. So you have sort of a competing theological argument going on
yeah.
in a music video, and I mean, it's it's hilarious. I mean, I think it's hilarious in that everybody is so wound up about it.
So well.
Um,
Oh my gosh, it's
and
crazy.
I'm also, and like I said, I'm also kind of amazed that people who no longer subscribe to that particular view of like religion
Yeah,
also think that are also sort of surprised that this conversation is going on, that there's such a reaction. I
Yeah.
think to me, the whole thing, having been around a while, I guess maybe that's why. I mean, I worked for a band that everybody thought was demonic. So, I have a long history of this.
Well, as much as I'd like to go on
Yes.
about the video and the art piece, we do need to end, unless this will get cut off for our listeners soon, because we're running out of our space on our.
Yeah, I mean, I would say people should watch the video and take into account that it's by an artist who is claiming and owning what was disempowering to him. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And aside from that, the video is just very well done. It's very artistic. It's very storied. It's full of color and imagery and depth and passion. And it's just completely multi-dimensional in terms of.
And I will say really quickly, the video that somebody posted of the bathroom next door to the that's worth hunting down. That video, the sort of companion piece where you can hear the other song in the other room, is just genius.
Yeah. So good.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, everybody. Check out the video if you haven't. See for yourself. Make your own, I don't want to use the word judgments, but, see for yourself and kind of wonder about it.
Pop music is all about making judgments. Yeah, what you like and what you don't like.
It's true. All right. Well, we'll see everyone soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Happy Holy Week.
Bye.
Bye.